Welcome to The Power and the Pain, where your past isn't your prison.
It's the fuel for your purpose.
I'm Greg Pihs, combat veteran, NLP trainer, and your guide to turn trauma into triumph. This is The Power and the Pain. Let's go. Welcome back to The Power and the Pain. If you didn't catch last week's episode, pause now and go back and watch that one. We're going to be talking about meta programs today, and I'm going to be really creating some depth and clarity around the 4 simple meta programs. Now, I say 4, each program has 2 options inside of it. So today I'm going to be covering 8 different meta programs. Again, these are called our simple meta programs. These are the meta programs that are elicited when we take a Myers-Briggs type personality test. I'm going to express these to you so you can understand them in detail to better understand yourself and those who you are leading. Let's take a dive in. So on the last episode, we talked about if someone was 75% or lower, so 51 to 75%, if they're 51 to 75%, this means they're going to have more flexibility in their behavior. This means they might operate either way. And if someone were to be 76 to 99%, they're going to be a lot more rigid in their behavior, especially getting up into that 80 and 90 percentile. They're seldomly ever going to operate from the other side. There may be occasions when they will operate from the other side, but it's not going to be that often. It's only going to be some small encounters. So even if someone were 99% extrovert, there's going to be even just a few small instances, maybe 1 or 2 instances where they will do the program of introvert. I don't believe anyone is 100% of anything. But some people are very, very favored towards one, like extremely favored towards one. For example, if you're right-handed or if you're left-handed, I'm right-handed. I'm extremely favored to use my right hand. But factually, I don't only use my right hand. I'll pick a cup up with my left hand or hold things with my left hand or wear my watch on my left hand. So there's certain things that my left hand actually gets favor over in comparison to my right hand. However, 99% of the time, I'm going to utilize my right hand. Okay, let's suppose someone was ambidextrous. So they use both of their hands, their right and their left. There's a really good chance that even a person that is ambidextrous, the things that they use their right hand for, they probably use their right hand for that activity every time. They have a lot more activities than me in which they allow themselves to favor their left hand. Whatever those activities are in which they favor their left hand, they probably do those all of the time. So some people I know shoot left-handed, but they right-handed. When they first learned how to shoot, it didn't matter if they were right-handed or left-handed. They had to learn from ground zero, all of the fundamentals, the breathing and stabilization and all of the things. It was more beneficial for them to learn on their left hand because they were left eye dominant, even though they were right-handed or right hand dominant. So this would be an example. Every time they always shoot with their left hand. Every time they write, they always write with their right hand. So we started looking at things with a whole lot more gray area on that last episode. We talked about analogical thinking compared to digital thinking, and I compared them to a light switch. Whereas digital thinking is kind of like a switch. It is either on or it is off. Okay, which one is it on or is it off? It's just a switch versus a dimmer switch. It can be on or off, but then also while it's on, I can be any varying degree from very, very, very dim to very, very, very bright and anywhere in between. And that would be more like analogical thinking. So understanding that someone can be predominantly in one of these or any varying degree in between to the other program. All right. Well, let's talk about what each one of these programs are as it pertains to how we display behaviors. First, we're going to start with introvert, extrovert. I think there's a lot of confusion around introvert, extrovert recently. There's like a term that I hear, like I'm an extroverted introvert. I get that one. I hear that a lot. And as far as like a map goes or labels or words go, that's true. It's true. If you, like the people that are like, I'm an extrovert and introvert, that's a truthful statement as far as those words go. You are an extroverted introvert. And remember, as I said last time, separate the person from the behavior. So instead of saying you are an extroverted introvert, what we can say is you utilize introverted behavioral outputs and extroverted behavioral outputs. If you are someone that is referred to, or you would refer to yourself as an introverted, extroverted introvert, an extroverted introvert, that would imply to me that you are at least 51% introvert and maybe somewhere anywhere up to 75% introvert, probably more towards that 50 to maybe even up to 65 odds are. Probably not going past that in percentage. So let's say you're like 55 or 60% introvert. Well, that also means you're 40 to 45% extrovert. So if something was 55-45, I mean, if it was a coin flip and we do enough coin flips, 55 is going to win by a little bit, but not by a lot. And we really have to have a lot of exposures to make sure that the 55 percentile, whichever side was 55%, was able to get his extra 5% in over enough exposures. So all this means is you are favored as an introvert by nature, but you have easy access into your extroverted behaviors. You can easily choose to display extroverted behaviors because you are not an introvert or an extrovert. You are you, and you can choose these behaviors. So the difference between an introvert and an extrovert is not actually how you interact with other people. It's how you interact with yourself. Think about you as if you are a battery. And when you're fully charged, your battery is full. And so you have all of your energy. Now, what you do with your energy when your battery is full, so whether you go out and play sports, hang out with your friends, hang out online, go to work, chit chat, this is how you give your energy away. That, however you choose to give your energy away, is not about the meta program or behavior you're choosing to display. So, when my battery is full, I like to give my energy to other people. You are listening to me right now, and I don't even know who you are, possibly. So you might say, Greg's an introvert. However, that would be very digital or black and white thinking. Whereas if you're listening to me right now and you said, Greg is utilizing the behavior of an extrovert right now, that would be a lot more accurate for me, because once my battery runs down, how I choose to recharge my battery, which is that of an introvert. I want to get away from people. I want to be alone and by myself when I need to recharge my battery. So that's where on a Myers-Briggs, I would be seen as an introvert. However, I literally am not an introvert. I just prefer to charge my battery alone. So whether you utilize predominantly 51% extrovert or 51% introvert, it's not about how you give your energy to other people. It's about how you choose to refill your cup. So when we look at things like, I would be referred to as an extroverted introvert. So I charge my battery alone. I want to be by myself with my thoughts alone. Nature's awesome. A campfire, music or frequencies can work. Journaling, reading, studying, learning. Whew. This really lets me recharge my batteries, but I want to be alone with my thoughts. I want to quantify my thoughts with no interference, no outside interference. I just want to hold my own thoughts, and this allows me to really recharge my battery so that I can go out and share my energy with others. So I just prefer introvert more than extrovert, so that lets me charge my batteries. Now, giving my energy. Once my battery is full, I can also do the introvert thing. So because that is my favored behavior to display, I can sit inside all day or days on end and learn new information. And I don't need to see anyone, and I'll be fine. I'll be fulfilled. I'll be excited learning. And I don't need anyone. I just keep learning. And as long as I'm expanding my mind and my knowledge and my wisdom, like, I'm good. I can just stay inside for days on end. So not only do I like to recharge my battery that way, I'm good utilizing my energy and giving my energy alone. It takes a lot of energy to study and learn new information and retain. I'm good doing that. But because I'm so close in the middle, I also totally good giving my energy in an extroverted manner. Not that I'm just totally good with it. It excites me. I like doing it. I'm excited to share this information with you guys right now, right here today. I get excited to do it. That's because I'm so close in the middle, introvert, extrovert. Okay. Now, if I was further, let's say I was 90% introvert, this would tell me we already know that I'm going to recharge my battery alone. But most of the time when I give my energy out, it's also going to be alone. Most of the time, not all of the time. And if we look at an extrovert is how they recharge their batteries. So we might look at an extrovert and we might think an extrovert's never going to be good in a room by themselves studying or auditing or doing data input or something like that. They got to be around people. That's how they like to charge their battery when their battery is out of energy. However, how they give energy, if they are close to the middle, they're going to have no problem. They can go to work all day in a room by themselves, pay attention to just one thing, do some auditing. But at the end of that day, when their energy is drained, this is the person who wants to grab a few friends and at bare minimum, let's go hang out on the back deck, the back patio, and have a glass of wine and talk about the day. I want to hear about yours. I want to tell you about mine. I want to hear your thoughts and your opinions on mine. I want to tell you my thoughts and opinion on yours. Or let's go meet at our local little dinner spot, that little place where we hang out and we connect. And if I'm extrovert, this is how I like to recharge my battery. I probably got like 10, 15, 20 people. And like I want 2 or 3 of them or 4 of them if possible there, like almost every night for me. But I can kind of rotate through this because if they're not as extroverted as I am, they might not be interested as much, but I can kind of rotate through this group. But being with this group of people, that's what recharges an extrovert's batteries. So when we look at introvert, extrovert, a lot of times what we're thinking is, how do we give away our energy? However, an introvert, that's somewhere in the middle side of things. They can give away their energy in an extroverted fashion easily. And an extrovert, that's somewhere on the middle side of things, they can easily work alone and give their energy to themselves easily because they're so close to that program and that flexibility. Now, if we look at either one of these on the far side, we talked about introvert. If we talk about extrovert, if they're all the way on the far side, it is likely they are going to give their energy around other people and require charging their battery around other people. If they're 90% extroverted, I want to put them something consumer facing, something where they're always meeting new people, something where they get to engage in conversation, something where they are getting to the ability to be able to lead, something where they have the ability to be able to have control with other people. If they're 90% extrovert. And I know that when they're done doing their mission, they also need to be around people to recharge. When we look at extroverts, we're looking at an introvert can easily be a leader and a great leader. Extroverts desire control of the situation a little bit more than an introvert. So they are extroverting themselves, people that give their energy through an extroverted nature. They're looking to have control over the situation. This is not a good or a bad thing. They're looking to have control over the situation, as in they are looking an extreme extrovert, someone that gives their energy in an extroverted manner. They are wanting to set the tone for what the energy is in that space. Whereas an introvert is going inside and more so seeing how they feel or what they think about the tone of the space. Introverts can be leaders. Extroverts can be leaders, either side. Extroverts appear to be more maybe confident, bold. It's not to say that the introvert is not confident or not bold. That's not a fair statement. They are just a little bit more internal. If they're on the extreme side of introvert, they are capable of the same boldness. They are capable of the same ability to lead. Introvert doesn't necessarily mean shy. What we do know definitively it means is when the batteries need to be recharged, they recharge the batteries alone. If they're an extreme on the introverted side, most of the time they want to be working by themselves so they can lead. And an introvert leader is probably going to be a little bit more detailed in nature. And they're probably going to make sure that their direct subordinates are small unit leaders handling certain departments so that they're talking to the least amount of people, the least amount of times, and the mission's still getting completed. Whereas when we look at that extrovert, we're looking at being involved in the mission, wanting to see what's going on, wanting to feel the connection of their people, wanting to share their connection with their people. Okay, now we talked about introvert, extrovert, and I want to make a clarification. Remember, if they're out here, it's going to be on an extreme, less flexibility. If they're in here, whichever side they're favoring, they easily have access to the other side as well. Let's dive into the next of the four. The second one we're going over today is sensor and intuitor. All right, let's dive in. Again, spectrum. 100%, 99, 98, 50%. And then over here, we're going 51% the other way, 51, 52, all the way up to 99%. So now we're talking about a sensor and an intuitor. So if someone is a sensor, remember, they are not their behavior. So it wouldn't be fair to look at someone black and white or digitally thinking as a sensor or as an intuitor. Now we're really clear understanding this analogical thinking in this gray area that they're predominantly either a sensor or an intuitor and then some level of predominance. So are they 51% or are they 99%? And of course, we know the closer they are to the middle, the more they have access to the other one. Let's talk about what the two different behavioral traits look like. For someone that is a sensor, they are very sensory based. So what they can see, hear, feel, what they can see, hear, and touch. What's in front of me? What's real? Sensors work in a very pragmatic world. Sensors are very digital thinking, very black and white thinking, very it is or it isn't. Sensors are great with concrete tasks. Sensors are exceptional at tactics. So they are very tactical in nature. So sensors don't think too far ahead. And because of that, they're all in on the right now. So they are very detail orientated. Like they probably did not miss anything. Like they saw all the things taking place. And if the shit hits the fan in a nanosecond, we can look to this person and they already know the best decision to make right now. Like right now, this second, with what is in play, here's the best possible decision. And they know in a flash. Our sensors make great managers. Managers follow the rules, ensure that a process happens, step A, step B, step C, all the way through into a duplicatable outcome. Sensors are exceptional at duplicatable outcomes. Sensors enjoy routines. Sensors want to get things set and then autopilot that thing and always keep that thing the same. Sensors are more about tradition, more about routine, more about doing things the right way, more about detail. And remember, you or I are not a sensor, but yet some variant degree of a potential predominant sensor with intuitor involved. So when you think about all of the behavioral traits I just displayed, if someone were to take a Myers-Briggs and they were to get an S, then we'd say, oh, they do all these things in some varying degree. What if they're 55% sensor? Well, when they operate in the sensor side of things, they will do all of these things, but they easily have access to the intuitor side. And when they operate from the intuitor side, they'll actually be doing the things that an intuitor would do, which I'll express here in just a moment. So if we had someone just take a Myers-Briggs and they got an S, then we could take a broad stroke and say, well, here's all the things I know about the S's. Yet there's some varying degree of those things and have some varying capability of the complete polar opposite, the law of polarity. Let's talk about an intuitor. An intuitor is a lot more big picture oriented. So they are thinking about what does all of this lead to? An intuitor is focused on anything except right now. An intuitor is focused on how did this play out in the past and what could this be in the future? So very big picture. These are like the visionaries. So when we think in business, the sensor is the manager and the intuitor is the leader or the visionary, if we will. The intuitor is the one that is forming the plan for the team. The manager is the one ensuring that the team actually executes the plan and has the duplicatable result of winning. Because the intuitor would miss so many details. They're so locked in on what could be tomorrow, they're missing exactly what's happening right now. An intuitor, maybe. An intuitor is like, depends. Like, hey, do we have to clean the bathrooms? Are they dirty right now? We could use that time more efficiently over here. Whereas a manager, a sensor, is like, hey, it's 8:30. It's time to clean the bathrooms. The bathrooms are already clean. Good. So there won't be much work to do. Go in and clean them until they're all the way clean right now. That's the sensor. Like right now, the best decision to make is still go clean those bathrooms. Like when you say they're already clean, like there's not a piece of dirt in there. Because if so, let's just get that one piece of dirt out. Because right now we're supposed to be cleaning the bathrooms. Very tactical, what has to be done in the moment. Whereas the intuitor, again, this is the visionary. They're seeing the big picture on things, but man, will they slack. This is like when we think about someone with their head in the clouds, but they can put together a plan that's like, holy smokes. The intuitor is the planner. The sensor is the one that deals with all of the logistics and making sure that, hey, this is an X amount hour trip. We're going to need this many stops for bathrooms. We can go this far before a stop. Here's our 3 options inside of the first leg of the trip and where we could stop for bathrooms. See, the sensor's thinking about all those details. The intuitor just knows at an intuitive level. An intuitor, the meta program, is much more intuitive. So they're not as locked down in the pragmatic concrete world. They don't have to see it, hear it, or touch it for them to know that it's true. They can imagine what could be that has never been seen, never been heard, and never been felt before. Because of this, again, they're missing the details. It's almost as if their head is in the clouds, but they can intuitively know that we need to head northeast. I'm not exactly sure where, but we need to head northeast because XYZ algorithm, when I look at the past, this happened the last five times. So most likely here's how it's going to happen on the sixth time. So this is our intuitors. They're able to see big picture. If you are somewhere in the middle, then you have a range of flexibility on both of these. If you're all the way an extreme on either side, in business, if you're an extreme, in business, you're going to need someone to fill the other role for you because you need the visionary and the executioner inside of your business. And in life, your partner, your spouse, it's already like this. Trust me, you can look inside your relationship. If you're an extreme of either, your partner or spouse is going to have to be the other side. And you can see that so in your relationship now, or both of you are more towards the middle, so you got plenty of flexibility. All right, so now we've covered introvert, extrovert, and a little recap there. That's how we like to charge our battery, not how we give our energy. Then we covered sensor and intuitor. Sensor is using their sensory basis to take in information, what I can see, hear, and touch, what's right in front of me, what's concrete, what's real, what's now. And intuitor is using their intuition to see what could possibly be. They are great at innovation, leading the next level of the next breakthrough, the next level of expansion. And they struggle in their day-to-day tasks and routines because everything's kind of like an intuitive gut instinct of like, should I not? I'll see. Let's see when I get there. I'll know when I know. All right, next one up is thinker and feeler. That one's pretty easy. The words already kind of alluded it for you. Now, when we think of thinker and feeler, definitely the feelers and the emotions and the thinkers and the logic. Okay. Let's create a clear difference from intuitor and sensor, because sensor we could say was pragmatic. So we could say the sensor is logic, right? And if we were to quantify the two groups, I would say the sensor is logic. And the intuitor, we could say is that heart space or that emotion or that gut intuition. And that would be fair to say. If we said that, then we'd say, well, why do we have to clarify a thinker or feeler if we already know they're an intuitor or sensor? Fair. Good question. Let's break it down. A feeler is going to go off of their emotions for how they interact with reality. So a feeler is going to be that person, like when you go somewhere and they say they're there for like 5 minutes and they're like, hey man, let's get out of here. And you say, we just got here. And they say, yeah, the vibe's off. This isn't the place to be. And you say, well, what are you talking about? And they say, well, I just get this feeling about this place. You know, those people that are like that. So they are using their gut intuition, but if they're a feeler, it's more about what they're doing in the now, versus if they're an intuitor, it is outside of the now. The intuitor, if you're an intuitor program, you're evaluating what has happened and what that means for what could be for the future. So if you're an intuitor and a feeler, then you would miss all of the details in day to day and what's going on in this room, because you would just trust yourself that whether you're supposed to be here or you're not, and you don't know why, and it doesn't matter because you just trust yourself. You got the feeling, so you went with the feeling. And while you're in that space as a feeler, if you're an intuitor, you're thinking about the past and the future, what was and what could be, because you're trusting your gut intuition or you're feeling that, hey, I'm supposed to be in this room, so I can be here. Whereas if you're a thinker, It's all based on logic. So it has to make sense sequentially and logically. And if I can't make sense of this thing sequentially and logically, then if I cannot make no sense of it, I cannot be a part of it. And as long as I can make any form of sense out of it logically, then I can form my decision for what I think I should do next logically. So if we think of someone being an intuitor and a thinker, the intuitor side of them is always drifting on what was and what could be. And in the moment, when they show up in the moment, everything is very pragmatic and logical in the moment. So this would be someone like we know people that are, if someone is an intuitor thinker, so an intuitor thinker, they are able to see the big picture and operate a plan. They have a plan because it has to be sequential and logical. This, and this. I have to know how many steps it is and what is the proper order of the steps. And is there any additional information that can help benefit me get through? So if someone is an intuitor and a thinker, whenever you interact with them in the moment, they'll be very logical in nature. And what would let you know that they're intuitive is even though they're logical, they're talking about big picture possibilities. So they are logical and pragmatic in conversation, talking about big picture possibilities. That would be an intuitor thinker. If they're an intuitor feeler, very go with the flow, very whatever makes sense. And it doesn't, I'm not sure why, sure. Like, do you want to go do this thing? And they literally just check in. When I think about doing that thing, does that feel good? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll do it. If they're an intuitor feeler. And they're definitely going to be talking about these big picture things with you if they're an extrovert intuitor feeler. I mean, they're always going to want to be out and about. They're always thinking about what could be, and they want to share with you what is possible and what could be. So extrovert, intuitor, feeler. Whereas let's drop off introvert, extrovert. Let's go back to sensor. If they're a sensor thinker, very, very, very pragmatic in nature, very, very logical, very detailed, no steps getting skipped. No steps getting skipped. All right, they're going to be very pragmatic in nature. It has to go this way. And like exceptional, like at a very things that are very high detail oriented, like they're going to do exceptional in that. But these are the person like clock in, do this thing, clock out. I don't know, like all my bandwidth is consumed right here. If I'm a sensor and a thinker, like you can bet your bottom dollar that like they can do brain surgery, but they can't operate outside of that. Like this person may not even have what we call common sense if they're a sensor and a thinker. They're probably going to be fairly oblivious to some of their surroundings and social cues, maybe even a little bit more socially awkward because they're not picking up on those, on the intuition and what things feel like in the room. They're just very logically, this is what we need to do. I don't know what it feels like. What does it feel like? If someone is a sensor feeler, they're going to be very pragmatic in their own life, very detail oriented, very routine oriented. They're going to have morning routines, evening routines, a time that they pray, a time that they meditate, a time that they work out, a way that they eat. However, if they're a sensor feeler, they're a lot more go with the flow in the moment. Because remember, sensor, this one is detail in the moment, but that's really about them and what they need. If they're a feeler for you, and when they're around, they just like trust the instincts and kind of go with the flow a little bit more. Like they have an actual code that they're living by, but in the moment they can just kind of go with the flow with you and really pick up on your social cues and things of that nature. So thinker and feeler, are they pragmatic in their head? Does it have to make sense? Or does it not matter as long as it feels good, we can do it? And, or does it not matter if it doesn't feel good, I don't do it? Thinker, feeler. Last two of the four meta programs, perceiver and judger. Dun, dun, dun. These ones are, perceiver, judger, I think is greatly, I think, misunderstood. That's my opinion. Let me explain it to you. Let me allow you to gain awareness as to what Greg thinks the meta program of perceiver and judger is. When we look at a perceiver, now remember, as we go down these meta programs, are they an introverted, intuitive thinker perceiver? Are they an introverted sensor feeler perceiver? Are they an extroverted intuitor feeler perceiver? So this is where we start getting into those 16 different groups that really, really start changing things. And then remember, inside of those 16 different groups, then we start having the flavor of what varying degree are they. So when I talk about perceivers and judgers, I'm talking about them as singular programs, but never will they be a singular program. A perceiver and a judger is always operating off of these three prior programs. So one could say there's almost three different types of perceivers and almost three different types of judgers, which are accounted for in the total of the 16 different groups. I'm going to first just talk about a perceiver and a judger just by themselves, not mixing all the other pieces in. So a perceiver is someone who likes to keep their options open. A perceiver is someone that wants to explore all options. A perceiver is someone that is usually a bit more in their head. They're going to make their decisions more so last minute. And this allows them to gather information so that they can know that they made the best decision. So things are kind of always in the open with a perceiver until we absolutely have to iron down and make a decision. Whereas you can imagine the varying degree to the opposite becomes the judger. Judgers need closure. Judgers want everything closed now. They want commitment, and they want commitment now. I want to know where it is. I want to put it away, and I want to know that it's there, and that when I need it again, I just go get it in that place. It's all sealed up. It's all closed. Judgers see options. Like if we have a bunch of options open, judgers see these as like spinning plates. Whereas like in the circus, if you see them spinning the plates, like I start spinning this one and I put the stick and I get to stand this one and this one and this one. And then I got to make sure I keep them all stabilized and spinning. And it's like all these things to do. And for a judger, options are kind of like that. It's all this stuff to manage. Shut it down, knock it down. Which one? This one, this one. That's it. We use this plate every time. So we could say the judger can be a bit more rigid in nature. Remember, consider that judges are open to changing their opinion on anything. So they're not stuck in their ways. It's not about like that tradition of things like we have to do it this way because we've always done it this way. It's less about that and more about I might do it this way or I might do it that way, but whichever way I'm going to do, I'm going to commit to that one this time. Next time, I might make the different decision. But for this time, once I commit, I'm shutting it down. I don't have two options no more. I've married this one. There's nothing left. I am all in, burn the ships right now. Of course, the pros and cons of the two. If a person is on the extreme side of things, so they're heavily in judger or heavily in perceiver. If they're heavily in judger, this allows them to think about like your A-type personalities, like wanting to control the situation, driven, ambitious, get the thing done. If they're over here, they're going to be more in that A-type personality. This is going to, if they're an extreme on the judger side, like make decisions and make shit happen and get it done. The downside to the judger is, or the opportunity. The judger is like, well, we've been taking too long. We're just gonna have to jump off the cliff and build a parachute on the way down. This is the opportunity for the judger. I feel attacked right now. Stop attacking me, y'all. And then the opportunity for the perceiver is apathy. The perceiver's like, I don't know. And then the train leaves and a decision wasn't made at all. So this is if we're on the extreme. But remember, if we're somewhere in the middle, let's say I'm 55%. Well, I favor commitment and closure, and I'm okay keeping options open sometimes. So again, the further we're in the middle, the more flexibility we have in our behavior, the further we're going to be able to go in things, the less rigid we are. The more we are on any of the extremes, the easier it is for us to know who we are and for others to know who we are, where we stand and where they stand with us. And our behaviors just become a little bit more rigid in nature. Okay, short recap for us. Those 4 meta programs that break into those 8, if you will, introvert, extrovert. Remember, it's about how you charge your battery, not how you give energy. Sensor, intuitor. Am I day-to-day, in the now, detail-oriented? Or am I really seeing what could be possible in the future? Thinker and feeler. Am I logical in nature, pragmatic? Do things have to make sense and I need to see like that they all line up and they sequence together? Or am I more of someone that just goes with the flow and trusts myself? And if it feels good, then I know it's okay to do. And if it doesn't feel good, it doesn't matter why. I don't even need to evaluate it. I've already got my intuition feeling from it. And then perceiver and judge. Are you someone that needs that commitment? Are you someone that needs closure? Someone that wants to shut it down, make it happen? Or are you someone that's more of I want to make sure I keep all my possible options open so I can make the best possible decision? The more you learn about yourself, the more you can begin to lead others. And on another episode, I'll dive into, we are not frozen in time. I always say we are infinite, separate the person from the behavior. So if you're an INFJ, you are not an INFJ. You allow yourself to choose to utilize the behaviors of an INFJ. You can change your meta programs anytime, over and over again. You are infinite. Make sure you like and subscribe. Tell your friends to check us out. I'm excited to continue sharing with you guys, and I'll see you next week for another episode.
If this hit you deep, trust that.
Your pain has power, and your story isn't over.
Follow, share, and send this to someone who you think might benefit.
I'm Greg, and this was The Power in the Pain. Keep stepping into your power.